It's hot, and the weather's turned right here at McGolf Custom Clubs. We got a lot to talk about. Got some new stuff in. We're going to talk about a repair, and then we'll start answering a little bit of questions. So let's get after it. Welcome back to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk with Jim McCleary, 6-time 100 Best Golf Club Fitters with Golf Digest, and the last International Club Maker of the Year. Why is it What's in My Drawers? Well, it's because we're old club maker club fitters are tremendous pack rats, and I'm no different. And we started talking about all the collective crud I had in my storage areas, and it's turned into a really nice golf discussion. So here we are again, another hour or so. It's supposed to be an hour, but it always goes long, so it's no big deal. And we're going to talk about golf equipment, fittings, repairs, opinions, you name it, we're going to talk about it. So to get started right off the bat, because I always miss this one, like and subscribe if you would, please. Like and subscribe. That way more of these messages get out to the public, and that would be great if we could make that happen. Also, the last bit of them, those guys, so I can get the focus. There we go. Switchblade divot tools, gray and red, and they have the removable ball marker and a pencil sharpener. The pencil sharpener for those folks that need to sharpen their scores. Okay, so let's get started. Number one went golfing twice this week, and it was a tale of two stories. First one went 40-43. Last hole claimed me a little bit, otherwise it would have been all right. And I again on number 9, 3-putted for the 40, could have been a 39 and turned it all around. Not too bad. Let's see, it looked a little bit like that. That was hole number, this was after some rain. That was hole number 3. This was looking to the side from hole number 3. I just thought that was a really good picture. Hole number 1, this was the second day after it rained. It came way down, right? This is, that's what it looked like the day before. I like the blue skies versus the not blue skies. And then one of my favorite holes that just absolutely eats me up is number 12. And right where I'm standing is where you tee off and you go through it. And that was day 1. And that was day 2. So not too bad. Not too bad at all. The second day was I acted like I didn't golf at all. I got 90 or 92. It was pretty much, it was bad. I shot almost a 50 on the back 9 because I couldn't hit anything. So I've resigned myself. I better get me a few swats in before going the next time. Next thing is that we always got to put what we did on the smoker. Some Western style ribs. Turned out looking like that. Not bad. Tasted pretty good. I think there's one left. One left. And bad news at McGolf. We lost a golf cart this weekend to old age. The engine decided to give up the ghost, and the thing is so old that they don't make any spare parts. So now we're looking at another golf cart. And what we had before, of which I don't see the one. Let me go search one out here real quick. I thought I downloaded it. Give me 1 second to see if I did. And nope, apparently I did not. Well, one of them we were looking at was this guy. A nice little golf cart with a little people mover on the back. I'm sure it'll have to be modified McGolf style eventually, but we'll see. It's not for certain, but we certainly do like it. All right. So what are we talking about? What do we get? So number 1, what do we get? That's always the fun stuff. You guys heard me talk about squares, and if Bob's listening, I got mine. And another pair of squares. Now, on the other one, I had like a flag logo. This one is just a black and a typical black shoe. Now, I'm not sponsored by these guys. I'm not anything by these guys. I should be an influencer for them, but I'm not. And it took them a while. They had, we'll call it supply chain issues. At least that's what they're saying. And it took them a couple weeks to get it to me, but they delivered. Now, they still may have it. You'd have to go look, but they had the Father's Day deal where you got another $20 off, and then you got this. Well, I got the other one. Of course, I set it so far away that it was almost inevitable I wasn't going to get it. So you get a pair of these. Flip-flops, square flip-flops. About a $40, $50 value, they say. I've not put them on, so I don't know how comfortable they are. But you get those for free. And then a pair of socks. They're actually kind of comfortable. They're a little bit big. Those were for free. So you got $20 off, and you got all that stuff for free. You might want to check it out. So I get a 12 wide. I know I was asked that on the last live stream, that, you know, as for people that have an extra wide foot. Well, I go anywhere between a 2E and a 4E on my foot, and these things fit just fine. So I think it'd be okay. Alrighty, so I get, you know, every week I get some emails of how do I do this or how do I do that, and I catch them on. Sometimes I catch them on time, and sometimes I don't. So anyway, a lot of the questions this week have been on repairing broken shafts. Seems to be the topic of the day, right? We're into the heat of the golf season now. And we're going to see a lot of that, particularly when the kids on the golf team start getting out there. I get a lot from that. And then when dads are trying to show them, I get a lot from that. And then every once in a while, I don't like this shaft, I don't like that shaft. Now, that happened quite a bit this week and last. I remember I told you I switched some stuff out. I kept doing it. It was more stealth stuff, too. It was really, again, it wasn't that the shaft was bad. It just wasn't like they needed a stiff instead of a regular, or regular instead of a stiff, and so on. We did some of that. So that was working out good. The pictures I don't have to show you right now is because I just finished a set of Srixon ZX5s for a lefty here locally, and I just didn't take a picture. I just finished them. And I got another set of Wilson CBs going to Canada, and with the PX 6.5s in them, I believe. And we have another set of, I believe they're either D9 forged or they're Mizuno brand. So anyway, we got those done. And amongst all the, we did quite a few in the way of the drivers from Callaway this week. All right, so the broken shaft. So the first one we're going to talk about, because I've got two to do, is the broken iron shaft. Right, it's typically broken off at the hosel. Gee, Jim, how do I get it out? Somebody eventually is going to say, well, you just need to drill it out. Yeah. I've never, ever in my life been able to drill one of these things out. Now, if it's graphite, I've done that gobs and gobs and gobs of time. Steel, on the other hand, not so much. Why? Because the drill bit gets it, and now you're at the mercy of the torque of the drill bit, or of the drill itself. And if you're using a battery-operated drill, I don't care how new it is, it's not very torquey. I mean, it's good enough to drill and do stuff, but not enough to break the epoxy bond. So what do you do, right? What do you do? And let's say you don't have a whole lot at the house. Well, number one, you're going to have to figure out how to hold it. Now, you could hold it in your hand, but you're going to heat all of this up, okay? You're going to heat all of this up for about, I don't know, a minute to a minute and a half, and you're going to keep the heat moving. That way you don't burn one spot, particularly since this is one of those colored, it's got the coating on it. And so you get a minute and a half. And normally, here's the pro tip, is when you have something like this, that when you've broken the bond or something's given away, this thing will pop. And it starts sizzling. And that's when you know it's ready to go. So now how do you get it out? Well, for at-home tool type stuff, one of these. That's an easy out, right? Now this is an old junky one, and it's, for what little bit I use it for, it serves the purpose. Now, why is that? Because so of course I'm going to have to clear this out. I got another one in here. Here we go. There's my other one. So you'll get it all hot and you'll put it in there and you'll push it in there real tight, and then you start loosening it up. And what happens is the way that this is configured, as you're loosening up, it's actually wanting to screw in and bind. It's a reverse thread, so to speak. And you take it and you turn it and you turn it and you turn it, and it's going to grab. And what will happen is, just this way, eventually as it grabs, you are going to be on the end here providing that torque on a wrench, right? On a wrench, or even if you got it hot enough, on the piece that actually holds this. Have you seen them? They're two handles with a metal in the middle that you use it for dies. Anyway, you grab a hold of that, and it's just you powering it, and that's the torque. Okay. So let's say you don't have a shaft puller, but you want something a little fancier. Then you get something like that. All right, and the only thing it's missing is there's a washer that goes right here, but it doesn't seem to impact the way that it works. So anyway, what this is a broken shaft pulling tool from GolfWorks. And if we take it apart, and you can see it, there we go. See how this end is more like a die cutter, or what it does is, this is like a die, it's a die cutter, and what it does is it cuts inside the shaft in order to grab the inside of the shaft. So when you get this in there far enough, here we go, when you get this in here far enough, then what you can do is you either have this on here first as you're doing it, or you slide this guy off when you get it in there. Right? Of course, he's going to argue with me today. Oh, let go. There we go. All right, so you get this guy off. There you go. And then you slide this down. And now it's sitting on top of the hosel. And then that goes on there. And right now, there we go. And then what happens is it'll set. Let's see if I can get the right one. So that sits in there like this. Now this works. This will have to work while this is cut off at the top. Now this one presents a bit of a problem because I think there's a shoulder here, but you get the idea, is that you'll cut it off right here at the end of you'll cut it off right here at the top of the hosel, and then you turn this in. You turn this in until until you got it to where it's really good and solid in there, and then this will sit right here. And then all this does is that you turn that, and it basically pulls it out. While this is sitting there, it pulls it straight out. Pulls it into this thing, actually. So, and it's all done by here. Right? You do it right here, and it's a lot of twisting. Now, if you have a vise, you can stick it into a vise and clamp it like that. And then that way you can concentrate with two hands on it. Now, I've done that before. What I tend to do is if your jaws are very aggressive, put a couple of towels in there and just and crank down on it. That typically gets it. If you're a little more advanced, they have these inserts that you can put, the rubber inserts, and then you can clamp the iron shaft inside that. And then the last but not least, now this is where this is at. That's all the tools that I use. Normally I do all my stuff by hand. That's I'm not aware of any machine that you just shove it in there and pull it out and it goes. What you're seeing right there is what I use. Now, if you have a shaft in there, obviously we're going to use a shaft puller, but this is fixing a broken shaft, not one that's got a shaft. Now, one of the questions I was asked on let's see, I don't have one. Anyway, he has a Mizuno 190, and it's broken off at the hosel, right? It's broken off at the hosel, and he went to do a step in there because he's been a hobbyist for a bit, and he goes to drill in there, and he runs into the dreaded tip pin, right? The dreaded tip pin. And if it's a lead tip pin, and you can tell by looking at it because the lead is silver and the other kind is brass, and it's going to look copper or brass color. And if you have a lead one, your drill bit should have enough bite and enough rotation in order to just drill down through there and get it out. Now, but brass, not so much. It is a softer metal, and it's just going to be a ginormous pain in the butt. Can you do it? Yes, you can. However, there's another way that's a little more, we'll say, artistic. So in this, when you have the tip pin only takes up the exact middle of the hosel. And so what your job is to do is clear out around that tip pin, okay, to clear out around that tip pin. So what you have to do is you have to get some really small drill bits, and you basically just get on the edge and you get around, all the way around, and you just do a circle of holes all the way around. And, you know, as you drop out all the crud that comes out of it, you're putting heat in here too. You want to heat this up, drill it out, and you keep adding that heat to it, and eventually some of that graphite will bust up, and you can take an awl and just scrape it out, and then wind out, you know, and then loosen up your tip pin, out it comes, and you can finish cleaning. So that's one way to do it. So you either manhandle the snot out of it, and you just drill straight down through it, and you just take it for all it's worth, which sometimes not a bad idea. Or you can clear out around it with a smaller drill bit. And normally about the thing that's the size of the tip will get in there around it, and you normally can use it like a, what do they call those, rotazips? You can take like a rotazip kind of feel and just kind of move it back and clear out a small spot, get around small spot until you got it open, and then you can move it out. So that's removing broken shafts. So I think these topics like this are working a little bit better as far as being able to tell what's going on. All right, last thing we got to talk about, Canadian Open. Rory McIlroy got on the winning side, got hot as all get out, shooting a -8, so that was pretty good. And we had an LIV winner, I guess we had to say that, and golf is being played all over the world, so good for them and us. All right, so let's see what we got for questions. We got to get all the way to the top. All right, Matt Revlock made it in first. 2 scrambles for charities over the weekends. Got to say it's fun, but not really golf. How many scramble events do you play each year? I would say not as many as I would like. My average is probably closer to 5. And the reason being is it's not that I don't want to, it's schedule. Normally the guys that want to, hey, I've got this, or hey, I've got that, if they tell me far enough in advance, I can block out that time. But if I get called like the week of, 9 times out of 10, I've already got a fitting planned or lots of work or something along that line. So, but yeah, it's not too bad. Mike from Buffalo, first ever Scramble event next weekend. Can't wait. Any U.S. Open picks? Ooh. Well, you know what? That kind of opens up the discussion if some of the LIV players there. If the PGA stands true to form, the U.S. Open, that's going to be an argument all itself, and I just don't. Yeah, I understand. But playing right now certainly won't be Rory because he won't be able to get lightning in a jar twice. He's been known, he's a good golfer and all that, but the competition out there is just so good. The likelihood of that happening now is even smaller than it was in the past. So if I had to really look at it pretty hard, I would. Sam Burns would be one. I wouldn't discount him. And oh my God, I just had brain failure. The guy from Texas that's been winning everything he looks at, he hasn't won in a while either. I give one of those 2 guys a shot at it. Brendan, how are you, sir? Glad to see you're staying up late with us. Got fitted for LS Rogue 3-wood 6.5 smoke. Nice. Now and what Brendan is saying, that's happened. A lot of Callaway fitters are getting Fairway wood fitting systems. I've got one. And it looks like a quiver of arrows, albeit only 6, but I got them, and all the different heads. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. I'd like to see them go to totally, but it is what it is. But it is really neat. You can test the different ones now. Alrighty. So the LS Rogue 3-wood 6.5 smoke. Brandon, you are absolutely killing it with that. Would the same shaft work in a 3 high launch? The Callaway rep had very few shafts. There you go. Heads as you can't change the shaft. Well, I can now. Need a 4-wood as the 3-wood is too much. Yeah. I would say so, Brendan. The only difference truly is going to be that the head is going to be within grams of the 3-wood, since it's a 4-wood or a 3-wood high launch, right? And I'm trying to think of what it would be. It's like 315, 318, somewhere in that area. And it's going to be somewhere in the vicinity of maybe a half an inch shorter. So, yeah, I'd say you'd be fine. In fact, I think it'd work really, really well. All right. Charlie, how are you, sir? I got back from Maine. Well done, sir. 1 a day for 5 days, so 5 scrambles and 1 spring kickoff. Well, you go, man. Good job. Hopefully you got some money out of it. Peter.
PZ says you're kind of raspy. I can't really tell.
I'm raspy? Well, let's see what he says. I wonder if I got a fan going in the background. Let me see if that doesn't help you. Hold on a second.
That's better, whatever you do.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Well, just had to put the cord in, I suppose. All right. Peter, how are you, sir? Glad to see you made it in. Thanks for joining again. And thanks for that donation last week. That was extra special. Thank you again. David, there you are. Holy cow. Where have you been, man? Hopefully you're doing all right now that we're seeing you back. Which manufacturers do you think have the most difficult ranges of irons to bend, lofts, and lies? Oh, by far and away, Ping. By far and away. Ping. And they're traditionally, because the metal, it stems from the i2 model, but the i3 and all their cast models are very, very hard. And their latest ones, even the ones that had ferrules on them, they bent okay, but they were still kind of tough. Another one, what I'm starting to see now is, there's a Wilson. There's a couple Wilsons that are pretty tough, and that's because they have a short hosel. And if I had my druthers on bending, I think Mizuno bends good. The Wilson Forge line bends good. The Srixon's been pretty easy. The Callaway's been pretty good. You got to be kind of careful. Now, between them and TaylorMade, you've got to be kind of careful because they have most of them have those multi-piece golf club heads. And if you go bending them too much, you tend to pop them apart, and that's not what you want to do. To the point, I've been doing this well over 20 years, and I could say up until last week I've only broken 2. And I broke a third one. It was an old Mizuno Easy, an 850. I think they called them EZs. And I grabbed it, and I just first little stick, and pow, popped right off in my hand. And I was like, oh my God. So he went and found another head, and I took the shaft off and put it on the other one for him, so he should be good to go. Now, I will say from David, since you're talking into this, we have in the business, when you guys go to get loft and lie bends, you should be aware of the I broke it, you bought it policy. All right, because there are, and it's very infrequent too. It's not like there's somebody out there bending them and breaking things every day. At least I hope not. But within the way that metal is, there are sometimes imperfections in the crystal lattice structure of the club. And when you go to pull on them, pow, they just break. And when that's happening. Now, the first one that I broke, I just put my bending bar on it. It was sitting right here, and the weight of the bending bar broke it off. And I went back and I looked at some of the guys' other clubs, and they looked like a coat hanger that had been worked back and forth, and you could see the fatigue on the hosel. And then the second one was one of those failures like that, and then this is the third one like that. So you got to be careful. Peter, play about 20 scrambles a year. Allows me to have fun and play all the shots. Yeah. And you got plenty of places to play, Peter, down there. I mean, hey. All right. Played it after pairing a drive, hit it well. Definitely feeling it doesn't feel like I'm swinging a 2x4. All right. Justin, way to go, man. Well, that's a no joke. That's still a no joke shaft. So, but you swing pretty hard. So Justin was down here. He lives in the town north of me. Came down for a fitting, and he had a stealth. That was one of the stealths I was showing you. And he had a very, very brutally stiff shaft in it. Now, Justin swings hard, but he don't swing that hard. And so we ended up putting a graphite design, the orange one. Apparently, they make one in black and white. And we put that in there in stiff flex instead of X flex, and tended to work out pretty good. So we really like that one. It looked good, too. The black and white was a much better call, too, Justin, I have to say. Kurt Evans, 2 to 3 scrambles a year. Only time I can try to reach a par 5 and 2 at my age. There you go. I'm getting there, man. Dennis Hood, the ball goes a lot farther in this hot weather. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. When I hit that really crappy round, I was hitting some pretty decent shots, and it was, I don't know, in the 80s. It was really, for the rain that we had the day before, it wasn't bad. But I was hitting some crappy shots, and they were still getting out there. Mr. Sloan, how are you, sir? There we go. Now, I got to say, Charlie, and for everybody, I got a video about half done, and it's on the Makefield putter. All right, it's on the Makefield putter, and I took it out in my first round, shot the 76, and I have yet to replicate that feeling. And I don't know if any of you guys out there are struggling like that. I caught lightning in a jar, basically, and I was just relaxed, and I was hitting everything, and it was all going my way. And I have yet to replicate that particular feeling or that particular feeling in the swing in order to get that. I'm just basically hammering it around the course. Now, if I was doing that in the past, my scores would be much, much higher. And the reason being is this putter is saving me. And, I've been telling you guys I 3-putt all the time, blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, I still get a 3-putt on one side or the other, but what I'm now getting is handfuls of 1-putts. So, even with the 92, I still got the regulation on the average 2 putts per hole. So it tells you how bad my ball striking was. Now, the day before when we were playing, ball striking was much better, and I had 2 or 3 under the normal, and that's been the normal thing. So it's come around. I like the way that it putts. I do. I like the way it putts. All right, there's Danny Johnson, Northeast Missouri. Hoorah! Past my prime. Missed the last 2 weeks. Had to catch up on the replay. Congratulations on the top 100. Thank you, buddy. Not a problem. Glad you caught up with us. Willard, how are you? Happy Memorial Day. Look at that. I like that. That's a really good logo there. Good day on the course. Humid for sure. Pin seeker. Almost a hole-in-one. There you go. Good job. All right. Hammer, sending some MX 900 6-iron to bend to 27, replacing my 900 hot metal. Be on the lookout. Very well, sir. We will do that. And thank you. Duke, will you do a video on the Makefield putter? Wow. Now that is what you call, we're right there, man. We're right there. I've got one coming. Nice. 80 with 2 triples and a double. That was my first three. That was my first three holes in the when we took off on that back nine. Holy cow! Yeah, it's coming. I wanted to add in. I had it all ready to go, and I just wanted to wait a couple of weeks just to make sure I wasn't in that. There's that love fest time for golf equipment where nothing can go wrong, and so I've given it plenty of time, and it's the real deal. All right, Michael Barber. Hello, sir, in the UK. Thank you for staying up so late. That's fantastic. Look forward to these shows every week. I appreciate that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Sold my red speed one links waiting for FedEx to drop off my new PXGs. All right, very good. I'm seeing a lot of the 211s. Is that the ones that the first responders and the veterans and all that are getting? Or is this or did they repurpose the number? Watching in Jersey, PJ Tour laid the hammer down on the LAV guys. We'll be following the drama to come. Yeah, this is going to be. Yes, I don't know what more to say. I mean, there's no doubt that the folks in LAV are out there chasing the money, and it's their choice, right? It is their choice. But with like choices, they have consequences, and live with it, right? Man, and most of these guys are getting more. They're getting more money just to show up than they've made in their whole lifetime career. And the one dude who was at that one, Charles Schwartzel, won nearly $5 million. I bet he hasn't seen that for a bit. So, I mean, good for them, but again, there will be consequences. What is that? All right, Dennis Hood had those score 90 days and blamed it on my balance equilibrium. Sounded good at the time. That works for me. Oh, or my lack of feel. All right, Dennis Hood. Square shoes are also easy, at least for my wide foot. There you go. Yeah, I do like them. I mean, I got the white ones. I mean, those things are just neat. These I got as a backup because they were just so solid. And you get and I'm also on the get shoelaces for life. And they got that too. Oh, there's Danny. Anton Dufort. Thank goodness. Made it. Oh, well, good. Glad you're here, Anton. Got a question? Ask away. All right, Danny Freeman. What's the difference between the TT Elevate 95 shaft and the Elevate 85 shaft other than 10 grams of weight? Well, that I just worked with a few of those, and so we'll talk about some. Those numbers don't necessarily mean that. I know they're supposed to be in the 95, but that's no guarantee that's what you're going to get. I've had some 95s that have weighed 93 to 90, a couple grams when you cut them down. I've also had some at 97. So it just depends on there. But the MPH actually 85 and the Elevate 95. The Elevate 95 was a 95-gram shaft, whether it be regular flex or whatever. It was very much akin to the Dynalite Gold, all right? And the Elevate MPH with miles per hour was more geared to the 85-mile-an-hour swinger. So it's a little different. Now, are they close to 85 grams? Yes, they are. I think it would be my opinion that the 85, the MPH, is a little softer in the butt section versus the Elevate. I think the Elevate's a little tighter, to be honest with you, or the TT Elevate's a little tighter, where the MPH is just a little bit softer. Bill Blessing, hello, sir. How are you? All right, here's Dennis Hood. Yes, they are. Demega, hope all is well. Looking at reshafting my backup 3-wood original Rogue. Oh, CZ Even Flow Blue. Is sightly. Yes, it is. All right, did you see Mickelson's press conference this afternoon at the U.S. Open? I did not. Very defensive and defiant. I've never seen him like that. I predict he won't make the cut. Well, that must have mean he didn't go to play. He was over there, I suppose. I'm not sure how all this is working out. I haven't kept up with it. These are guys that they're all big boys and they can make their own thing. Yeah, but he probably won't. You know what this reminds me of? I've seen him here as of late, all dressed in black, and he's got the scruffle going on and all that kind of stuff. Back when I was much younger, we used to watch wrestling, and it reminds me of Hulk Hogan when he went from being the all-star good guy to the bad guy, and he went from that yellow and everybody to all of a sudden he was like, deeper voice and hey brother, and then started wearing black and all that other stuff. That's what it kind of reminds me of. All right, even flow boot counterbalance. Will there be any issues, or will a different weight be needed? No. So what you might find is that when you go from the counterbalance from the even flow, I don't think you'll see too much. When the counterbalance stuff, that it's like a swing weight or two. If you're counterbalanced, it'll be more in your hands, less in the head. Where you go to the standard one and it's the standard weight and things like that. Oh, went down to the bottom. Not a problem, man. Not a problem. Hello, PC. What's up? Oh, there's a dog right there, bud. Did you ever hear of FS Golf in Gilbert's? No, I have not. What of FS Golf? Flights? Well, the only thing I know in FS is Flight Scope, and they're out of Orlando. I have not heard of that. What is it? Golf Swings. Greetings. How are you? From Toronto. Well, hello, man. Glad you're up there. It's in the same time zone, so we're in good shape. Not a fitting question, more swing related. Any tips for increasing shaft lean at impact to compress the ball more, mainly wedges and things? Oh, well, they've got that tour striker out there that is specifically designed to do that, right? And the tour striker is very much laid forward, and it's a head about yay big. It's not very big, so you really have to hit the golf ball. It'll take some practice, and you could do that. I mean, it's a tool, and it does exactly what you need it to do, and that's exactly what it's for, right? That's exactly what it's for. Short of just practicing lagging into the shot, but that in itself can have some of its own detriments. Now, there's also one that's called a snap impact that allows you to, when you swing it, when you get down, it tells you where your impact is at. And sometimes when you aren't getting into, the shaft lean, sometimes you're all in that flip. And if you concentrate more of leading the hands into the impact, which snap impact would probably do a little bit better, then it gives you a sound / feel to let you know where you're at. All right. How about that finish? Great weekend for Canadian golf. Brooke Henderson winning 2. Yes. Brooke is one heck of a competitor. Shot a 49 in a scramble yesterday for a win +5. Whoa, on number 5. Okay. Very good. Andrew, golf torque wrenches, are they all the same size? No. No, they are not. A lot of them are. There, you can go from Callaway to Titleist to Mizuno to probably Strixon, I'm going to think. The ones that used to be different were Adams, and PXG uses a different style. And there was one that used a square. I can't remember that one. But then the other question is, are they all the same torque? And again, a lot of them are the same, but every once in a while they are a little different. So when you're turning them, you just want to, when you get to the point where it's getting ready to break, you want to be careful. Make sure you get to the point where it does. That way you're seating it. Jock, how you doing? Just found out I'm in Ohio. Okay. Would have to come up for my fitting and clubs needs. All right. Thank you, Frank. No problem. Jock, here you go. Do you have any tips or techniques for reshafting single bend putters as far as alignment? I've done several clubs, but never shafts with a bend. Well, there are two things, Jock. The number one, when you finally get it set in there, if you have a loft lie gauge, what you can do is you can set the putter in there, and you can, because the loft lie gauge will grab the shaft as it goes into the putter, and then you can, and it has lines so you can square the face, and then you can turn that shaft and virtually get loft and lies like you want. Now, you also want to make sure that it's not too far out, because what you're looking for is when they double bend, they're going to double bend in a plane, not out of a plane. If it double bends out of a plane, what I mean is, so if you had the face of the putter, that it will double bend up and like this, as opposed to some weird contraption going forward. And that's just the reason why you see them bending out forward or backward is because they're drilled in at a different angle. Okay. That's one of the reasons. So you can put them in a jig and let them hold there in the spot that you want. You could probably make one and just have like a nice, like a shelf that comes out and clamp it right to the side. You'd probably be able to do that. Another one is that give it about whatever the glue's gel time is, right? And you get to the gel time, and then you come back and check it and make sure it's balancing the way you want. Then once you finally got it set it up on a table or a bench somewhere, and then just leave it alone. There's Daryl, sunny old England. All right, I'm glad it is. You were talking about it being all rainy the other time frame, so good for you. Jerry Smiley, cool 98. Heendick says 108. So it was 98 on my car today, and up here 98 with about 5,000 pounds of humidity. And it feels awful. It's just hot, but it's thick. Seb, what do you say? Hi, buddy. Question about shafts. What is the raw weight of driver shafts? And if you cut them down, then surely the weight is... okay, we're going to do it again. And what is the raw weight of the driver shaft? Because if the driver shaft is used for a fairway wood, then surely the shaft weight will be lighter than a fairway wood compared to the driver shaft. Am I right? Okay, so let's get back to the question. The raw weight of a driver shaft, and if you cut it down, then surely the weight, then we go back in here, used for fairway woods, am I right, and the lighter in the shaft. Okay, so if we're talking about, you're going to take a 65-gram shaft, and then you're going to a driver shaft, then you're going to cut it down even further to put it into a fairway wood. Will the shaft be lighter? By design, yes, because it's going to be shorter, right? You're going to tip a little bit off the end to make for the 3-wood and this is normally that's a mistake, but that's what we do. And then you cut it down from the butt section in order to get length, and it's the difference. Now, yes, it is lighter. However, the head is heavier, right? You're going to go from about a 205 to about a 215, maybe 220, depending on the head and the maker. And that is going to take up for that shaft. Okay. Now that's where that's at. Now, not again, as we were talking earlier, in iron shafts, not all driver shafts are equal either. In that if they say, a something 60 or a something 55 or whatever, chances that it depends on the manufacturer. Some will say raw length, that's what the number that we put on the side of the shaft. Some will make it heavier so that it is 55 when they cut it down. It just depends. Now, is it a grand amount? No, not really. We're talking in the way of grams, right? If you trim it off, it might be 3 or 4 grams, and so you should be okay. Now, that's the reason why I like fairway wood shafts. So these guys right here, all the Acra folks, they make fairway wood shafts in a family of those shafts, and in a varying weights too. It doesn't necessarily have to be heavier; it could be lighter, but on the whole, it typically is. And it is designed for fairway woods because of the smaller, heavier shape and the closer relationship to the center of gravity. I like that. Now, there are other ones out there that are doing, I don't know if they're doing fairways, they're doing hybrids. So the question is, how do you do that, right? I've not done it yet, but I am getting closer to the idea that, yeah, okay, the heavier shaft, like you go from 65 to a 75 and not tipping it, would probably be better off than cutting it down like most people would say. So hopefully I answered that. Camilio, what do you say, buddy? Where are you at now? Stan, what do you say? Do you think a D4, D5 swing weight is too heavy for a driver? I swing at D2, but I can't feel the head. Well, so C-Tan, honestly, by design, they're normally between D0 and D2 is for standard, right? If you're an aggressive swinger, quick in tempo, something along that lines, and you lose the feel, then yeah, adding a little bit of weight's not going to be a big deal. If it's D2 and you got this monstrous grip on the end, then all you're doing is you're adding weight. You're not going to impact too much because it will have to be a lot for you to overcome that big grip as far as feel goes. Because typically big grips mean a lot of back weight. In order for you to get to the other side, it's not there. So, however, if you're swinging at D2, that may not be the issue. So, yeah, I'd say just experiment with a little bit of put a little bit of lead tape on the bottom or around the backside of the head, and just see, and just start with like a little strip of tape about 3 to 4 inches long. Pluck it on there, and just see what happens, and then get to a point, because it may not need to be D5. Maybe it's D3.5 or something, and that way you're not going to throw so much weight in the club that you're going to change things. Al Burnett, what do you say, sir? Hopefully things are going well for you down there. Eden Taylor, what do you say? Can you take a Callaway XR driver and fit to an 11-year-old boy? Well, I will say probably. The 11-year-old boy, so what we'd have to do in this particular case, and this is the one where moms and dads will cut down a normal driver for their son or daughter, and put a grip on, hand them, cut them loose, and all of a sudden there's no action in the driver. And that's because you cut it all out, and it's still going to be heavy. So if this golfer is accomplished, and at 11, because we're talking 11, not necessarily so much skill but age, and if you're at 11 years old, there's still a lot of weight that needs to be dealt with. So junior shafts in the 40 gram or sub 40 gram are really what you need.
Come on, Chatty, just change the shaft and shorten it down. I answered him already. Shorten it down.
And junior shaft. Anyway, the junior shaft, and you get in there, and then yes, it should do you okay. Yep, got to get to the top again. All right. Okay, look at it. Mrs. McGolf adding stuff. She wants to get going to do something. Oh, they're talking with JP. Oh, okay, he's a golf hitter. No, I'm afraid I haven't. Thanks for the show. Makes the week start right. Well, you're welcome, Jay. That was it. Cleveland. Okay, yeah. Nice. Thank you, Ron. There's Krister. How you doing? Did you get your club in? Played 300 par today, 4 bogeys. Look at you go. Good job. Oh, I asked a little too soon. There it is. Got the new driver shaft. Just have to get used to the stiffer tip. All right. 6,000 meters from the yellow. That's saying something. Bill Blessing. If I cut an inch off my driver shaft and add 6 grams to the head, will it be close to the same weight? Unfortunately, no, Bill. You need about another 6. 6 grams is about, or an inch is equivalent to about 6 swing weights. And on the head is on the average of 2. But I will say this, we totally get hung up on swing weights. And I understand that we do because it's one of the final measurements and the definite thing that we all know about. However, if you I would look at putting 6 grams in the head and doing again, and I would think that you probably end up liking it better. Just what you're saying, what you're going to do right here, and then you would probably end up liking it better anyway. It'll feel shorter. You'll still get the head feel on it, and you'll get it around. I just think that'll happen. There we go, Ron. Danny, can you tell me about torque when you go to buy a graphite shaft? They do not show torque values for steel. How does that fit into the profile of the shaft? So Danny, steel is basically steel is the standard by which everything else is measured. Steel shafts on an effect pretty much in that 2.0 to I think 2.0 to 2.4 maybe is right where the steel would lie, and that's the bottom end. That's almost none. Okay. Then what you'll get into driver shafts that are very, very stiff, have very, very low torques, between that 2.5, 2.7, 2.9 range. And then you're getting up to where it's still maybe an aggressive swinger, but needs a little help, 2.9 to maybe 3.2. And then 3.2 to about 3.5 is where basically everybody lives. The single most popular shafts have been in that range. And then above that is way more torque, and it's typically related to people that don't load the club, maybe a slower swing speed, that kind of thing. Now, all that said, why you don't see a lot in torque values is because they're each measured differently, much like flex. Some people will put a 1 foot arm with a 1 pound and do the test and see where it goes. Some people will do a 6-inch arm with 2 pounds. Some people, and just all these crazy numbers. And it's just a number that comes off. So that's one thing. And number 2, as a norm, but it's not 100% like everything in golf, but as a whole, get this out of the way. We'll start at 60 grams. As you go up, you're adding more stuff onto the shaft. And as you add more stuff onto the shaft, the flex tends to get more stiff as well. And when you have more stuff on the shaft, the torque tends to, and as the flex gets more stiffer, the torque tends to get lower. Okay? And then just the other way, you start taking stuff off, and the flex becomes lighter and the torque becomes greater. It's just a function of what's on there. Now, as I did the video with Acra, now their flexes are in this one line of drivers. If you said stiff, it was all like this. Another line of drivers said stiff, but they were all the same in all the weights. That's kind of unique. Now, are all the torques the same? I doubt it. All right, so you got to keep that in mind. All right. Let tape is your friend. Thanks, I have 2 small strips. Yeah, that's what you can do. And if you don't like it, you can always peel it off. That's the best part of it. No problem, bud. Anytime. All right. Let's go back. Look at that. I got down to the bottom. With 5 minutes left to go, guys. I know it's getting warm out there. And I appreciate everything that you guys are doing and watching for us. And this might be just the sign I needed anyway. I got to go finish that set of irons that's going to go to Canada, and another one that we're shipping out as well. So I appreciate it. I thank you guys for attending. I should have a video coming out. It probably won't be tomorrow, but maybe the next day. And if you would, like and subscribe, tell your friends, and that way we can get more of this information out to all the people. And as usual, guys, let's see your scores. Go low.